So uh, it makes for a great team. It really does. And we're glad to be here, and we're glad to take any questions, help you any way that we can to get you through this process. So you see the comment cards are there. Sign in if you didn't. So no, this is for our live stream. You want to be? You can be on TV with us. So anyway, thanks again for coming. We're going to keep it very informal tonight, and we're so glad you took the time to be here. I think we're going to turn it over to Michelle now. You want to use the if you wouldn't mind, so we can get you.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Michelle Felterman. I'm the project manager for the state. Just wanted to thank everybody for coming out tonight. It's been a long time getting to this point, and we're really excited that we're finally going to, start actually having boots on the ground and elevating these homes. We've got, $400 million that we've committed to this project in Southwest Louisiana that are going directly to the citizens. And we're just really excited to have y'all participating. So like Renee said, we'll be here to answer any questions you have. Then we also have all of our contact information. Things come up, we're here for y'all. This is a project for you. So thanks again for coming out. And I guess, is it Kara?
Yeah, thank y'all again for coming out. I see, how many homeowners do we have here tonight? 1, 2, 5. Yeah. Good. It's more than we had for our first meeting. So this is our second actual public meeting the Corps putting on here in Cameron, and they will have others out in Calcasieu Parish as well. But appreciate y'all coming out here tonight and finally looking and hearing the progress of this program is exciting for Southwest Louisiana. And we hope that a lot of our Cameron Parish participate in this program. I think we have over 180 structures that are eligible. So make sure you get the word out to everyone. And I'm always here, open and available. I'm the director of coastal affairs, but I also help out Ms. Robin Morales, who is in our permitting floodplain office. So I'll turn it over to you, Micah.
All right. So again, this is just a huge thank you to everybody that's come out and spent your time with us. You certainly didn't have to do that on a Monday night. But we are here for you. So we want to answer all the questions that you have. We want to make sure that we're available not only tonight, but in the future. I think that it's rare to have this many government agencies coming together. So please utilize those resources to the best of your ability. My name is Mickey Meyer. I am Daryl Broussard's counterpart. So Daryl's here from the New Orleans district. I'm from the Rock Island district, and we have a couple other folks here as well. We kind of already talked about it, but just CPRA is here. Cameron Parish is here. Rock Island is here. And we do that because we share a workload, or we have workload distribution. So that's kind of the purpose of that. But we really are here for you. And the only way that this project is going to be successful is if people sign up. It's all dependent upon that. We have several forms of communication. Obviously, call us. We've got a call center that it gets answered. Reach out to us. Try the best that you can to have conversations with us. We're happy to talk about it. I think people get tired of hearing Daryl and I talk so much about Southwest Coastal, but we're very passionate about that. So we will try to make the slides available so that people can have them. We're obviously doing this live as well. So if you have any questions later on, we can come back to it. Next slide. All right, so the project from inception in 2016 is a dual purposed project. There was a feasibility study that was complete in 2016. There's two kind of legs of it. It's the home elevation or the NED portion and the commercial buildings. I've talked to some commercial building landowners and want to make sure that they're not left out. We talk a lot about the home elevations, but there is a commercial piece as well. And then there's the ecosystem side of things, and that's the NER portion of it. And it sounds like there's some funding there for that. So that's excellent. That's going to get rolling here pretty soon. Our portion of it is only going to focus on the home elevation and the commercial pieces. So the NER side is definitely a Daryl question, but if you have questions about it, please talk to him. He'll be able to get you all the answers that you need. Next slide. I don't have to stand here and explain how the communities have been devastated. We can all look around, we can all see that there have been issues in the past and that there have been hurricanes. I live in the Midwest, so I'm not as akin to understanding where that's at. So I'm not going to stand here. You all are the experts at that. But we are coming in to help. And I want to make sure that we show up and that we are sincere and that you know that you can come talk to us. And it's not just oh, this is another program or this is another project and they're not going to come through. We do have the funding, like Michelle pointed out. We are fighting for more funding every day. We want to make sure that we touch as many people as possible. And again, that we're here to help. And the way that we're going to help is elevating the residences, dry flood proofing, and placing berms around the commercial structures and providing those coastal barriers through the NER portion. Next slide. This is a little bit of a graphic that's been around for a while, but it gives you some perspective on just exactly how many properties are out there. You can see there's 3,457 properties that are going to be elevated, potentially the dry flood proofing, and then the localized risk reduction. So again, everything is dependent upon how many people sign up for this. If we have low participation, then it's hard to make a case for getting more funding. So get it, round people up, tell them that it's real, that it is happening. I'll share right now, on Friday, Daryl and I were ecstatic to share that we awarded the first contract for this project. So it's almost a $5 million project or $5 million contract, and it's for 21 structures. So that was huge, just to again emphasize that we are here and we're not going away without helping some folks. All right, I am going to pass over the slides to Michelle. I think she's got the next couple of slides here. Sure.
You can actually go to the next slide. So we like to show these slides, this one and the next one. This comes straight from our 2023 Coastal Master Plan that the state develops every 6 years. So what this represents is, you can go to the next one, Renee. So this is what flood levels would look like in a 100-year flood 50 years from now. And the reason that we like to show this is the importance of this project is not just to protect you from what is happening now, but it's to mitigate risk in the future. And that's something that is really important about this project. It's very forward-looking. We're going to elevate you to be above your future risk. So while it will help you now, it's an investment for your community, for your family, to make sure that you can stay here for the long term. We have a ton of data from our Coastal Master Plan. We'll be around in the back after. If you want to, you can actually type in your home address and see what your future risk looks like with different scenarios. You can pull it up at your house. So if you have questions about that, please come talk to myself or Paige or Wes. We're the team CPRA tonight, so happy to chat through any of that.
Thanks, Michelle. So again, just highlighting what Michelle said, this isn't just for the now. This is for the now and in the future. Thank you, Renee. So what now? If you have received a letter from us or some sort of communication, that means that you are in the project and to reach out and to apply. That's your next steps. There's a lot here that helps Again, future funding will help if there's more people that have submitted applications. We're looking for anything about your project or property that we should know about, just to give us an idea of how to navigate you through as quickly as possible. One of the things that we've gotten a lot of questions about, and we've actually modified our FAQ sheet out there, so if you have time, grab one of those. It's the long-term real estate agreement. I don't want that to be intimidating. It's very similar to an agreement that you would sign if you were doing something with the parish. We wanted to kind of model what they were doing, just for ease on our side, ease on your side. It's not an intimidating agreement. It just says that you can't enclose the first floor. So, next slide. Continuing on now. So what we did initially, because we had such a large group or population, we broke them into the first priority group, groups A, B, C, and D, and the non-residential groups, just to kind of figure out what our outreach is going to look like. And so now we've got approximately 300 applications out there of all of the ones that are have signed up so far. We've got to bump that number up somehow. It's actually a little bit under the 300, but we've got to get that up. And then it just kind of outlines what the next steps are. And essentially the steps, which we'll get to the schedule here, is if you're in the first priority group, you're kind of off to the side because they went ahead and did the screenings of those properties back in 2019. For everybody else, the property is going to get screened, and then it's going to go into a design build contract and be elevated, dry flood proofed, or a berm placed around it. Yeah. All right, so for the list of surveys and the assessments, during that screening process, the contractor is going to do 4 screenings. They're going to look at the first floor elevation. They're going to look at the structural condition of the property. They're going to do, and I'll abbreviate this, an HTRW assessment. Do you have lead on your property? Is there anything that we should be concerned with? Just check it out. Make sure when the contractor's out there that we're aware of it. And then the cultural resources portion of it. There are some properties that are in historic districts that have to be built back to certain specs. We want to just double check and make sure there's no cultural issues. And so those are the same assessments that were done back in 2019. We expect to just continue doing those. Next slide. All right, so the costs and the benefits. I think there's a lot of concern about what's this going to cost me. The costs could potentially be there if you have like an issue with opening an estate or opening succession. You might have to bring that up to speed, clearing title. But we're hoping to keep the costs very limited, and hopefully there's a lot of possibilities for a no-cost project to some folks. But there are inevitably potential for costs, but we hope to keep those very limited. In terms of renters, our project will cover any movement of the renters. It doesn't cover the same for landowners. That just happens to be with one of the codes that's out there that we have to follow. It's the Uniform Relocation Act. But the benefits are huge. So in terms of benefit, obviously you're getting flood risk management and trying to enhance the community sustainability. But the big one, and the one that we've kind of honed in on, is the need to not carry flood insurance. We as an agency cannot enforce or tell people that that will never happen, because if you have a mortgage, the mortgage company might tell you that you have to carry the flood insurance. So work with your mortgage company. But we as an agency are not going to require anybody to carry flood insurance. And Daryl, you've got.
No, I wanted to ask a question. So what is the biggest cost from the structures that we've seen in the project right now? What is the biggest cost to the homeowner that you're seeing right now?
So I think it's trying to find the place to stay, for a couple of, we've got publicly 2 days to 2 weeks is the length of time that you'd be out of the property. So that would probably be the biggest cost, out of pocket cost. If you have family in the area, then you can stay with them. There's no cost, hopefully. Any other questions? And this is meant to be interactive. So if I am moving too quick or you have questions, just pop your hand up and we'll respond.
Yeah. So you were saying
Yeah.
something about
Awareness. Events like this and letting people know that they're in the project and to go ahead and apply. And then from there, we would send them to our website. Everything's online. They can go to the web. Yeah. Yep. And sometimes it's a home doesn't exist, but a lot of times it's awareness. A lot of times it's, again, people have just been decimated with all of these issues and they're going, well, that person told me they could elevate my house, but then they didn't come through. And so we're trying to overcome some of that and just spread that awareness.
So one of the things is it's a volunteer project.
Yeah.
So you have to volunteer for it. Although your structure's eligible and you received a letter from us, you still have to volunteer to be in the project. So that's what we're looking to uptick in the numbers. We need you to actually send in an application to us so that we can start the assessments. And so in order to do that, you have to volunteer.
I received a letter, but my neighbor didn't. Is she eligible? Can she apply for this, or is she just excused from this?
So there's one of two things that's going on. She's either not eligible. However, she can, on our website, you can actually put in your address, type it in. If it pops up, it'll tell you whether you're eligible or not. So she should check the website.
We can actually do something tonight after we finish this. We got a computer. We can actually punch in some
Yeah.
addresses. And we can see if the house is eligible or not.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
You
Sure.
received a letter in the priority group, like ABC. How do they determine? They go in that order?
So that's what I was talking about. Initially, we put that together for outreach purposes. We didn't want to overwhelm the system. We kind of wanted to target certain people. We have enough money to raise 800 to 1,000 properties. If we only have 500 that sign up, for example, we're taking all 500. So it behooves you to get out there and apply because it kind of puts you at a first come, first serve basis for right now.
So if you've already submitted your application, what is the time frame for them to possibly hear anything regarding that?
You are reading my mind because we're jumping to the timeline now. No, you're good. Yes, sir.
Of the 300 applications, were those just the first addresses that were identified in Cameron and Vermillion parishes? Or does that include Calhoun Parish also in the first phase of the project?
It does. So there's no rhyme or reason for the 300. It's just the first 300 that have signed up. So yeah, I mean, anybody can jump in there and sign up right now. Yeah, Daryl.
So when we started, we had 3,000 structures. So we didn't know how would you prioritize that when we first started.
Right.
So we said we take the houses with the lowest elevation. So we call it priority 8. Well, we're into the project now. We're some years into it, and we only got 200 applications. So we've opened it up to B and C. So right now, we're saying, sign up, send us your application, sign up, and you will more than likely be in that first group, the next group that comes out. As Mickey said, we got enough money to do 800 to 1,000.
Yeah.
So if I got 300, right, I got room to grow here, and folks can get into the project.
And there's nothing wrong with exceeding that number. I mean, we'll have to figure out, and, Michelle, we've talked about this before, we'll have to figure out exactly, if cuts need to be made or how we put people into certain groups. But right now we're not there yet. So if we get more than that and we end up with 2,000 people, we'll have to figure out how to prioritize that. And that will be the best case scenario because hopefully it'll drive to more funding. So that we can get everybody elevated or dry flood proofed or the berms.
How were people selected to receive these? But I know their property qualifies, but was there other criteria that made them eligible?
Yeah. So actually, if you back up a couple of slides, there, that one there. So on the bottom of this slide here, what we did is we took a list in 2016 when they did the feasibility study. They said, here's the list of everybody that's in this floodplain that could be potentially affected by that. And then we overlaid some socioeconomic factors and looked at the lowest lying elevations. And the goal there was to put some science behind how we prioritized everybody and made sure that the people that were affected the most were potentially elevated first. So, all right. Let's go back to the timeline there. Okay, so here's the project timeline. The public events you can see are kind of ongoing there. That's the short one on the top there. The next part is representing the first priority group, so the contract that we just awarded on Friday. They'll be signing all of their real estate agreements right now, but they're moving into the design build, and probably we'll start to see some elevations by August. So that's what we're kind of projecting. I think everybody in here has probably done a construction contract or is a construction project at your house. Everything's subject to change a little bit, but we're hoping to try and keep to some reasonable timelines. And then you get to the voluntary homeowner registration period, which is the fourth line that's down. That shows it kind of ending in winter of 25, spring of 25, but I don't know that that's necessarily the case. We need to get people, again, signed up, but that represents that portion of the project. But essentially, you're going to sign up, volunteer, and then you're going to move into the assessments portion. And we're going to keep doing assessments as long as we have funding and as long as there's people signing up. And then you'll drop down into the design build contract, which is a larger contract. Yes, sir.
I was gonna ask Dale, so you awarded a contract to someone, what is that contract for? Is that for the design build or is that?
It is for the design build. You want to take it, Nikki?
Sure. So it's for the design build of the first 21 residential properties that we've got out there. Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
We wanted to get the construction fast and learn some things from it before we set out a contract for 1,000. So
Yep.
we had 21 that we had applications for, they cleared, we had money, and we also wanted to show Congress we are spending the money.
Who won that contract?
Wingate.
Not the
Wingate.
Wingate, you know.
Yeah.
Not the Wingate, you know, but Wingate LLC.
Yes.
Good, good.
Yes.
There was a joke, we got a guy that used to work for the Corps, retired, and his name was Wingate.
It still is.
It's still Wingate?
It's still is. Thank you.
Yeah.
So wait, I got a question.
Yes.
So for the 300 houses that we have applications for, when do you see the assessment starting for them?
So we want to try and get a contractor on board probably this late summer, early spring. And then we'll move right into screening those properties, but late summer, early
So if you have
spring.
an application in, you'll probably have a contractor come to your house to start those assessments.
I would say probably November timeframe, before the end of the calendar year, for sure.
Now, when you receive any kind of notification, let you know your application was accepted or.
Yes, absolutely. So the way that the website is set up and was functioning right now is people that apply will get an automated email. Our GIS, our geospatial team, is working to build out the website. The goal for the project, I think, is to make sure that the homeowner has an account that they can go in and pay attention to progress. So that's what we would like to do. Just ensure that that you all are always kept informed. That is a super high priority of mine. And so again, there's questions, you call us. And if you don't have an answer within 24 hours, you better, we'll take care of that
But
issue.
Once we give your address to a contractor, either the design build guy or the guy that's doing the assessments,
Yep.
once the contractor gets your information, you'll definitely be on a rotation where
Yep.
the state will be contacting you all regularly, giving you some updates, letting you know what's happening, when the guy's gonna come, what the status is.
This is all about you. And I can't stand up here and say that enough. I mean, making sure that you're informed, that you are taken care of, that this means something to you. This is your residence or property. So just, know that that's kind of where we're coming from. And then the design build for the larger contract, I would say probably summer of next year is the time frame that we're looking at. Again, everything's kind of subject to change when you start getting contracting and you get, just making sure that everything is going off without a hitch. Sometimes there's hiccups, but bottom line is that'll probably next year, summer. Yes, sir.
320, so residences, businesses, how many of them are in Cameron? Do you know?
I do. So I don't have the exact number, but it's 200 approximately. It's just under that. And Kara, I think she stepped out. She mentioned,
Most of them are in this parish.
so the total number that was identified in the feasibility study was 3,954, I believe.
Not
Um,
in Cameron now, total.
Yeah, that's the total number.
That includes Calhoun, Cameron, and Vermillion, correct?
Correct. And of that, there's approximately 200 now, in between 180 and 200, that are eligible in Cameron alone. So, sure. So any other questions kind of on timeline? Later this year, we're going to be screening. Next year, we're going to be building. Okay. So we've got some sample elevations you can see there. You know, one of the things that we've talked about is you can see that there's wooden stairs there. You know, we're going to come in and we're going to do the project and we're going to do it to the best of our abilities. But there will be certain times where, you know, people may want something more than what we can offer. Those would be considered betterments. We can't pay for that as a part of our project. But, you know, we can figure out a workaround if that's a need for a resident. And Daryl?
So what is the average lift height that we're raising the structure?
Sure. So it's 3 to 6 feet is the average height, but here I think it's going to be a little bit more. We'll go up to 13 feet, but that's the highest elevation that we'll be able to go. Yes, sir.
So the foundation's gonna be all smooth at the bottom, or should it be like ragged concrete stuff underneath it when y'all dig it up?
No, there should be like a skirting or something similar to that. And again, we can talk more about that once we get a contractor out there and figure out what are the options.
And you can actually see some of the pictures that have been raised.
Yeah.
We didn't raise these, but all of the parishes have been raising structures just like this. So we're not doing anything new. We're just doing it on a larger scale. And so a lot of these structures, you can see after they're raised, if it's raised high enough, folks use it as parking. You can't close it in, but you certainly can use it as parking. So there's an actual concrete floor that'll be there.
Y'all before that?
Yes.
So how do you determine whether it's enclosed at the bottom or landscaped? In other words, I see the picture
Well,
on the road.
The houses with the aprons, that's about maybe a 5-foot lift or 6 foot or less. So you really couldn't put a car under there anyways. And so rather than leaving it ragged looking,
Yeah.
because when the concrete's raised, it's not gonna be smooth and cut. Like you see, it's gonna be ragged at the bottom. And so those are enclosed with and they have vents, FEMA
Right.
vents that allow the water to go in and come out. So they are designed vents to allow the water to come in.
And one of the things that I have taken away, I think, from this project is, you know, folks like Kara and some of the other parish representatives have said, we are not interested in doing an elevation for a customer, essentially, that leaves them in a worse position. So, you know, I've kind of pulled that motto aside as well and said, we want to leave you at, you know, the same or better when we walk away from the house, and we want to see people happy. So again, just know that, you know, that's where we come from. The whole team is wants to make sure that you have a nice product when you come home every day. So, all right, next slide is our contact slide. As I said, we have got a website, we've got a fax number, we've got a call center, we've got multiple districts kind of all pointing towards that website. That's kind of the latest and greatest information. And we're getting a lot better. And, you know, the public affairs office, Renee and his team have done just a phenomenal job at just making sure that things are on there and things are accurate. And again, if you don't get the answers that you need, you call that phone number and leave a message and somebody will call you back. That's a big thing for me. But with that, that's kind of all I have at this point, and that kind of opens it up to questions or comments, or if you want to go look up an address. I think Bailey's out there with her computer. We're happy to stay however late we need to make sure everybody's questions are answered. So I'll pause there.
Yeah, I would highly recommend that you scan that QR code. That's going to give you all the information, all the links to the information. Rather than trying to remember all that stuff, or you can take a picture of it, or if you have, is it in the handout? Is it in the handout?
Yes.
Okay, it's in the handout. Then all you have to do is just scan the handout. It just makes it a lot easier to access the information. Again, this is all about you and meeting your needs as best we can within the framework of the law. So that we'll open the floor to questions or open house, whatever it is you want to do. This is your time, and we're here for you. Thank you for coming.